Ling Han and the others let out cries of dismay. They had been innocent, yet disaster had come upon them by the actions of a large white rabbit. Go, go, go! They hastily fled, their hearts filled with urgency. The beast they faced was far beyond their strength, and any of the creatures within this realm could easily overpower them. They cared not for stealth as they soared through the skies, their pace a blur of desperation. By the heavens, the cursed rabbit is still following us, Ling Han exclaimed, glancing back. To his surprise, the large white rabbit had continued its pursuit, bounding after them with alarming speed. This beast was incredibly swift. With each leap, it covered more than 30 meters in an instant, closing the distance between them at an astonishing rate. "A cursed creature!" they all muttered under their breath. Not only had it drawn them into this calamity, but now it was relentless in its pursuit. What grudge did it hold against them? Wait a moment. This rabbit is the one that led me into the mountain valley. Qin Lianya suddenly spoke, her voice laced with realization. Curse it. That rabbit is a habitual thief, another voice grumbled. It's certainly paying us back for the things we've taken, Ling Han grumbled. With a swift motion, he gathered the others with his origin power and invoked the fairy daemon step, propelling them forward at a remarkable pace. Faster! Faster! Hunyu cheered, perched on Ling Han's shoulders, her voice full of excitement. Fear was a foreign concept to her. In a flash, the large white rabbit also shot forward, its speed not inferior to Ling Han's. Each push of its legs sent it soaring through the air as fast as if it were born from the wind itself. It was no wonder. It had to be fast to dare enter the medicinal valley and steal under the watch of so many deity transformation tier beasts. Qin Lianyo couldn't help but shout, "That rabbit is going to bring about our doom!" It had been the same rabbit that had led her into this medicinal valley, and now it was the cause of their flight from these powerful creatures. Such a fat rabbit. Hunyu turned her head and drooled. Nu wants to feast on some rabbit meat. Ha! You want to eat Uncle Rabbit's meat? The large white rabbit mocked, its voice dripping with sarcasm, as it grabbed the carrot in its mouth with its claws, speaking as though it were some ancient elder. Ah, pa! You're still far too young to feast on Uncle Rabbit, the large white rabbit boasted, its tone oozing confidence. The group's jaws dropped in unison. Not only did the rabbit speak, but it mocked them as if they were children. It was no wonder. It was a beast that had reached the flower blossom tier, which granted it intelligence akin to humans. But for it to speak, that was unheard of. What? Are you all frightened by Uncle Rabbit's speech? The large white rabbit chuckled smugly. Aren't I impressive? Damned rabbit! You did this on purpose, didn't you? Ling Han scowled. Instead of running away, you drew the beasts right to us. Heh, it's much more fun when we all run together, the rabbit answered with a grin, not denying his role in the matter. Qin Lianyo fumed, her anger reaching a boiling point. Wait, you lowly beast, just you wait. Had she not been held back by Ling Han's origin power, she would have stormed off to take her anger out on this cursed rabbit. Rabbit meat does sound appetizing. Hunyu's eyes sparkled, her focus solely on the large white rabbit. Come here. Uncle Rabbit is ready. Bring it on. If anyone's scared, they're a coward. The large white rabbit wiggled its tail arrogantly, mocking them further. New's rabbit meat. Hunyu charged forward, her speed so great she was but a blur. She landed on the large white rabbit's back, her hands gripping it firmly. The rabbit was only half the size of a man, and Hunyu, though small, was a perfect match for it in size. One was an alabaster white, the other jade-like and beautifully sculpted. They might have seemed cute from a distance, but the reality was anything but. Hunyu bit down hard on the rabbit's tail, and the creature screeched in pain, its body suddenly accelerating, surging forward like a bolt of lightning, leaving Ling Han and the others behind. Ah! The rabbit shrieked. What sort of creature are you to bite so hard? Hunyu's eyes narrowed, her grip tightening on the tail. Her teeth were strong, but she couldn't sever it. Unbelievable. She continued shaking her head, determined to rip it off. The rabbit screamed again, its speed only increasing. Ling Han, too, hastened his pace, but could only watch as the rabbit and Hunyu disappeared ahead, their forms growing distant. Fortunately, the beasts that had been chasing them seemed to be falling behind, and soon their pursuit became nothing more than a distant memory. After a short while, Ling Han noticed the rabbit had finally slowed, trying to shake off Hunyu. Yet, no matter how much it bucked and jumped, Hunyu clung to its tail like a vice. "Let go! Let go!" the rabbit begged. "Uncle Rabbit's tail is short. If you bite it off, how will I show my face to others?" Ling Han burst out laughing, calling out, "You base rabbit! Hand over the dragon blood tyrant Ginseng, and I'll help you out." The large white rabbit froze, then looked back in horror. "You recognize this ginseng?" it gasped. The rabbit screamed again as Hunyu's teeth ground into its tail once more. "Human, hurry and make this little girl let go." "Uncle Rabbit's about to die," it cried. "Give me the ginseng!" Ling Han held out his hand. The rabbit, its face contorted in pain, knew it had no choice. The tail was unbearable, and it could not risk angering Hunyu further. Reluctantly, it tossed the ginseng to Ling Han. Ling Han caught the ginseng and inspected it briefly. The roots were still intact, and its life force was strong. With a satisfied grin, he stowed it in his black tower. This would be a prized treasure in the future, especially when it could be harvested a year later in vast quantities. This dragon blood tyrant ginseng was a legendary medicine, 1,000-year-old ginseng soaked in dragon's blood, transforming it into an extraordinary elixir. Its effects were renowned even among heaven-tier cultivators. Who knew? Let go of it. "This rabbit's not cooked yet. It's not worth eating." Ling Han chuckled. Reluctantly, Hunyu released her bite, but after a moment's hesitation, her eyes gleamed. "This rabbit's delicious. Even uncooked, it's good." She eyed the rabbit hungrily once again. Translator Reverie. Editor, Kurisu. The snow-white fur across the large rabbit's body stood on end, as if pricked by needles of terror, and its two hind legs trembled uncontrollably, yearning to spring away. Yet, after a brief inner struggle, it forced itself to remain. The dragon blood tyrant ginseng had already fallen into the hands of the human youth before it. It had expended immense effort, braving countless checkpoints and dangers, before finally digging out that precious stalk of ginseng. "Human, why don't we all drink ginseng soup together? Uncle Rabbit will go catch an azure pheasant. If we stew a black-boned chicken with ginseng, it will surely be a supreme tonic." The rabbit immediately imitated Hunyu's manner, drool spilling shamelessly to the ground. "Make rabbit meat ginseng soup!" Hunyu instantly raised her hand high. "Fuck your uncle!" The large white rabbit nearly lashed out with a kick toward Hunyu, yet its body quivered in fear, and in the end it did not dare act rashly. Ling Han shook his head and said calmly, "That ginseng cannot be consumed for now. We still need to wait 1 more year. I give you my word. You hand me 1 stalk now, and a year later, I will return 2 stalks to you. What do you say?" The large white rabbit's crimson eyes widened involuntarily as it exclaimed, "Human brat, your words are too grand. Do you think Uncle Rabbit was fooled growing up, believing such lies? The spirit medicines Uncle Rabbit has eaten are more numerous than the grains of rice you've swallowed." "Ruffian rabbit!" Ling Han raised his middle finger at it. "That's all I have to say. Believe it or not is up to you." After all, the treasured ginseng was already in his possession, was it not? "Believe it, Uncle Rabbit. Obviously believes it." The large white rabbit nodded frantically. "Ah!" It suddenly shrieked again. "This girl is biting Uncle Rabbit once more." "Who knew?" Ling Han called out. Hunyu finally released the rabbit's leg unwillingly and said, "This rabbit tastes good. New wants to eat rabbit meat." She began to wail and throw a childish tantrum. "Who knew? Behave!" Ling Han scooped her up, clicking his tongue in mild surprise. Though Hunyu loved food, she had never been so ravenous before. He took out a strip of dried meat and handed it to her to appease her hunger first. Hunyu gnawed at it sullenly, yet her eyes continued to fixate on the large white rabbit, causing it to attempt tucking its tail between its legs. Unfortunately, its tail was far too short, and clutching it proved exceedingly difficult. "Since the pursuing beasts have retreated, let's eat something first to steady ourselves," Ling Han said. He produced an iron pot, then retrieved ingredients from within the black tower, deliberately drawing out several 1,000-year-old ginsengs. Even within the black tower, ginseng could grow only to the age of 1,000 years and no further, for their seeds were of the ordinary variety, and a millennium was their natural limit. Thus, Ling Han felt no regret in taking them out to share, lest they rot uselessly in the soil. 1,000-year purple ginseng, 1,000-year jade ginseng, 1,000-year yellow ginseng. Qin Lianyu examined them one by one, astonishment flickering in her gaze. These ginseng varieties were merely 4th-tier and 5th-tier spirit medicines, yet their age was extraordinary. 1,000 years of growth was sufficient to elevate their value by an entire tier. The crucial point was that Ling Han was now taking them out to boil into soup. How lavish could one be? She had witnessed wealthy magnates before, but to this extent, there was surely no second such person. Not even shattering void tears could accomplish this. After all, 1,000-year spirit ginsengs were limited in number. There was an upper bound to them. Yet, Zhu Juan and Kan Ye showed not the slightest surprise, as if such extravagance were commonplace. Could it be that they often dined in such opulence? The large white rabbit was likewise stunned. It had pilfered many spirit medicines in its time, yet these were all 1,000-year treasured herbs. Even its heart thumped wildly. "Ah!" It cried out once more. Hu Niu had seized the chance to bite it again. Ling Han continued cooking. Out of curiosity, he asked, "Ruffian rabbit, you are an expert of the spiritual infant tier, so why are you such a coward?" This reminded him faintly of Halian Shun Shui. He had no idea where that sea maiden had run off to, and after some time, he found himself missing her a little. Uncle Rabbit disdains arguing with a child. The large white rabbit declared loftily. Yet seeing Hu Niu bare her gleaming white teeth once more, it hurriedly leapt behind Ling Han in terror. "Rabbit, play with Niu. Let's play eagle and chicken. Niu will be the eagle, and if Niu catches you, Niu will eat you." Her body shifted, and like a bolt of lightning, she lunged toward the large white rabbit. "Fuck! Still trying to eat Uncle Rabbit! You're the freaking uncle!" The rabbit bolted in panic. One human and one rabbit circled the campfire. One was swift as the wind, the other nimble as a phantom. Neither could seize nor escape the other, and the contest ended in stalemate. Ling Han remained unperturbed, calmly tending the simmering pot. "You're not going to stop them?" Qin Lianyuo could not help asking. "No need. When she's had her fill of play, she'll stop on her own to eat," Ling Han replied indifferently. How irresponsible. No wonder Hu Niu had grown so fierce. As expected, when the iron pot released a tantalizing fragrance, Hu Niu instantly halted and sat upright properly. Yet her eager gaze betrayed her hunger, and drool slid from the corner of her mouth. "Give Uncle Rabbit the eagle's butt!" The large white rabbit also sat down, though it kept a cautious distance from Hu Niu. "Rabbits eat meat?" Ling Han asked with a laugh. "These lowly eagles have devoured countless of Uncle Rabbit's ancestors and descendants. Uncle Rabbit is taking revenge," the rabbit proclaimed righteously. "Nonsense! You're just greedy." Ling Han scooped out the eagle's rump, selected a stalk of ginseng, ladled some broth, and handed the bowl to the large white rabbit. The eagle had been slain not long ago. It was a flower blossom tier beast, immensely nourishing for them. Unfortunately, it had not been a king among beasts. Each person received a portion of ginseng soup and began eating in turn. The eagle meat was tender and succulent, while the essence of the treasured ginseng had fully infused into the broth, rendering it both delectable and profoundly tonic. As they ate, a radiant glow enveloped their bodies, and vein-like patterns flickered into existence. When Ling Han had cooked, he had incorporated alchemical techniques, extracting every strand of essence from the ginseng and harmonizing it with heaven and earth. Naturally, the effect was astonishingly potent. After finishing the soup, Ling Han also took out spirit peaches, distributing one to each person. They would be unable to digest more. Everyone sat down cross-legged to refine the benefits they had consumed. Otherwise, after a time, the medicinal essence would dissipate. Ling Han, Hu Niu, and the large white rabbit ate the most. Ling Han and Hu Niu already possessed formidable appetites. As for the large white rabbit, firstly, it was of high tier, and secondly, it was itself somewhat monstrous, eating no less than Ling Han and Hu Niu. Bowl after bowl vanished into its belly, with no trace of restraint. After a long while, all had finished and rose one by one, their faces bearing satisfied expressions after reaping great benefits. But Yi Rong must have been waiting for quite some time. This seems somewhat discourteous. He shouldn't mind. Hey! None bore any goodwill toward Ye Rong, and naturally they did not concern themselves with his thoughts. "Let's go." They did not dare return to the medicinal valley. Within lurked nobles of the deity transformation tier. The waters ran deep, and reckless intrusion would end in calamity. They set off toward the agreed meeting place. Though they disliked Yerong, they had given their word and were not ones to renege. Ling Han began inquiring of the ruffian rabbit about the origins and background of the medicinal valley.